Welcome back to another episode of Conversate with Akeem D. Earle.
What's good?
Today we are talking about the Cardi B trial.
Yes.
Which is honestly a horrible name for it because it's not a criminal case.
Right.
And she's the defendant, but it's like a civil case.
Yeah, it's definitely a civil case. Yeah.
That's
an important distinction.
Yes.
Cardi B will not be going to jail.
Well, it really does depend because there is still an opportunity for a criminal claim.
Oh, like if
they can prove battery and assault.
If the prosecutors would want to go after Cardi B for assault.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but
there's no evidence. We'll get into it.
Yeah. So this case stems from an allegation of battery and assault that occurred in 2018 in California. I believe it was Los Angeles, California, when Cardi B in 2018, at the time she was, I guess, learning she was pregnant, or she was confirming that she was pregnant, and she was going to this doctor's office.
And this is when invasion of privacy dropped. And I feel like that's important. That's important to me.
Dang. And I didn't hear much about it like that come up.
Yeah. Because I'm sure she didn't want that to come up because her debut album just dropped and it was fine and it was doing very well. That's a terrible thing to happen.
That's true.
And it's based on invasion of privacy. This is crazy.
Well,
this is all I know.
Okay.
We'll get into it. This is crazy.
Okay, but anyway. So she's going to go see this doctor, Dr. Finnick. I think it was Finicky.
I don't know his name.
Finicky, something like that.
He got glasses.
Yeah, he's glasses. And
he has 4 eyes like you.
Whatever. Some of us have to pay to see.
Burn.
So she's going there. She sees, it looks like she's getting off the elevator. She goes up to the 5th floor. She's getting off the elevator. And as she gets off the elevator, she runs into this woman by the name of Imani Ellis. This woman worked as a security guard in the building where Cardi B was.
Yeah.
As the two have testified, Imani Ellis was excited to see Cardi B, and
she's a fan,
right?
He a fan.
She was a fan.
He a fan.
Imani says she said, "Wow, that's Cardi B," and that caused Cardi B to go off. And there really wasn't anything she did that warranted Cardi B to lash out at her. And she claims that Cardi B scratched her with her fingernails, spit on her, called her fat. And that it was very humiliating, and she thinks she should receive $24 million for it. Some facts she claims that she had to get plastic surgery, and her plastic surgeon did testify. He did admit that they had not met until 2022, 4 years after the 2018 incident, and did admit that there was about $17,000 worth of plastic surgery that was completed. And
lacerations and blood draws.
Right. But these are all what
alleged.
is the word? They're all alleged. They were all circumstantial evidence that potentially there was argument between Cardi and Miss Ellis. And so
can we get to it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
They all lies, man. lies. This woman's lying. Everybody, we know it, man.
Wait, only Imani Ellis is lying?
Yeah,
you don't think there's any lies coming from Cardi B?
Nah, I think she's stretching the truth, bro. I think she's stretching the truth. Listen, what's her name, Imani?
Imani Ellis.
I'm not even going to judge Imani because I got student loans. We got bills. If Cardi B is screaming in my face, we get into that bag. We get to the bag.
You're not wrong because although like from my opinion, if I was on the jury, I'm definitely putting not guilty and not guilty, but not liable.
Yeah.
And no money. But I could see two things happening. Cardi B settles for less than what Miss Ellis is asking for, just to get it done with, just to not take her chances. And that way, Miss Ellis can get her a little bit of money and she might be okay with it. Yeah. Or the jury finds that there was some liability on Cardi's part, and so she should have to pay some money, but it's not going to be $24 million.
I would be shocked if the jury comes back and finds Cardi B liable.
Really?
I would be completely shocked. And again, also no, because juries are so unpredictable. Yeah. And even though we're gonna talk about the jury laughing and stuff like that, they could do all that and still come back,
still find you liable,
But I'll be shocked just because of the lack of evidence. Just because of the lack of evidence. So, do you want to take it in turn? Who do you want to start with first? Cardi B or the defense attorney or the plaintiff?
I mean, we could start with the trial. Like, we could start. Did you listen to the opening arguments?
I didn't listen to the opening arguments. Yeah, break it down.
Okay, so in the video I watched, I really couldn't hear the plaintiff's counsel's full oral argument.
Okay.
But it's very clear.
And so just to break it down, plaintiffs is for Imani. The woman who's suing the opposing party is the plaintiff.
Ron Rosanas or something like that. Yeah. Is her lawyer.
Yeah, we're gonna get to him too.
Right. Yeah. I didn't hear all of his opening, but because of how Cardi B's attorney came in, it was clear that Imani's attorney was basically like, you're gonna hear this, you're gonna hear that, you're gonna hear this, because Cardi B's attorney was like, look, you're gonna hear you're gonna hear both of us talk about the things that we're gonna promise, about the things that we promised we're gonna show you, right? And then he was like, but I want you to remember what we both said, and I want you to ask yourself at the end of this who kept their promises. And that was a fire opening.
Why is that effective to say that?
Because you're coming in like he's lying, like the evidence will speak for itself. Like, I really want you to acknowledge he said this, this, and this. And I bet you his closing is going to be like, I want you to guys remember in my opening argument when I told you to look at what we were promising and look at who came through. Yeah.
And this is like trial 101.
Yes.
You don't put anything in your opening that you're not going to prove in the trial. I don't care how strongly you feel about evidence or who did what. If you have no evidence of Johnny dropping the apple on the desk, do not say in your opening, and you will see that Johnny dropped the apple on if there's no video, if there's no testimony, if there's no documents speaking to Johnny dropping the apple on the desk, do not put it in your opening, because there is no in trial, there is no like over promising and under delivering. It's like you lose points or you seem very incredible if you promise something in the opening and the jury doesn't see it at all, because now you're just using your words against the defense. I can say whatever I want in the opening.
If I'm the defendant's attorney, I'm writing down all the promises you made. I'm writing it down, and I'm going to follow up in closing and say, well, he promised you would hear this, this, and this. Didn't hear that.
Yep.
Right. I'm going through. I'm reminding the jury.
Yeah.
This is what he said, and he couldn't do it.
Yep. That's important. So that was a good tactic.
That was a really good tactic. I could tell just based. Again, I didn't really get to hear Ellis's counsel's full argument, but from what I could hear, I was like, oh, these are two totally different attorneys. Like you got OG and New G.
Oh, it was clear. It's like when you watching an NBA game and you could clearly tell who LeBron James is and who is random so and so on the Hornets bench. Like you could literally, and not to say that it was that big of a gap, but you could clearly see who knew what they was doing.
You could see who had money to hire an attorney and who had to convince their attorney to support them in this potential trial. They are hoping Cardi B will come with a settlement.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're hoping
you could see which party had the leverage and which party was desperate and was tried Eddie and everything.
Yeah.
So we could get to the attorney.
Yeah.
We could get to Imani's attorney. He was terrible, bro. He was terrible. So when you're going into trial, it's about angles. You play the man or you play the case. So this is an assault case. You're the plaintiff. You're trying to make this defendant out to be an aggressor, violent, so that the jury can see that he or she committed this crime. And as the attorney, you also want to keep your composure because you want to show the jury, look, I'm calm, I'm speaking, and this woman is up here acting a damn fool.
Yeah.
If she's this upset and boisterous on the stand, imagine what she was on February 18th, 2018. Right. He tried to do that, but he got in his feelings.
Yeah.
He got in his feelings. He's arguing back and forth with Cardi B. Whatever angle he was taking to try to paint her as the angry black woman was very clear what he was trying to do, and it wasn't working.
But so there are some things you learn in law school, especially if you do mock trial, about how to prepare your case. And aside from his tone, and even the judge had to tell him like there's a difference between being a tone and argument, basically.
Yes,
he was saying
between
like
your words and your tone.
Yeah, your words and your tone. And so the judge got to tell you, calm down, big boy. Like
that was so important that the judge did that. That was so key.
Yeah,
that the judge did it because he's like, I'm not being argumentative. Right. No. There's you can question the witness. You can be very even when you're doing a cross or you have a hostile witness. There are moments where you have to be aggressive and you have to push a pace, but there is a line between that and being argumentative. Yeah, and now you're clearly trying to incite some type of anger out of Cardi B.
Right, but even outside, so that aside, he just had no real strategy.
Yes.
Right. And if he did have a strategy, he didn't get it out really well because he was trying to ask all these questions at the end of his direct, and most of them were objected to and sustained. And you could tell he was really trying to paint a picture through these questions, but he couldn't get them out because already we've had 2 days of testimony that just hasn't really gotten anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was really bad. And I would say that his tactic, right? Mm-hmm. He was in his case in chief, right? So when you go to trial, plaintiff gets to put on their case in chief. You can have a JMOL, and if that doesn't work, then defense gets to put on their case in chief, and then you could renew your JMOL. And if that doesn't work, it goes.
JMOL is what?
Judgment as a matter of law.
And quick. This is the learning segment of the Conversate podcast. My co-host will explain to you what a JMOL is. So vocab word of the day.
Oh Lord. So Jamal or JMOL is basically just a tool you use to say, if you're a plaintiff, hey, we met our burden of proof. The burden of proof said I had to prove that it by a preponderance of the evidence, or that it is more likely than not that these facts happened. And I think the judge can see that there is no material fact in dispute that makes it so that this would not go in my favor, right? They're saying that if with all the evidence presented, nothing is disputed. Mm-hmm. Nothing is disputed. And so based off all the evidence,
it's still not enough.
Well, and when I say nothing is disputed, not a material fact, something that if it is disputed, people should have to talk about, right?
And the trial going,
right. And so the court is going to look at all the evidence in the light most favorable than the non-moving party. They're going to look at all the evidence,
and the non-moving party is
going to be the defendant in that case,
Cardi B.
They're going to look at all of the evidence in favor of Cardi B, and based on that, they will determine if the evidence is overwhelming or not so much, and the case should continue on. So it's basically a tactic people like to use to basically say we don't have to go any further.
Yeah, let's end this right now.
Now.
They ain't do what they were supposed to do.
They didn't do what they're supposed to do.
I don't want to waste my breath.
Exactly.
Let's end this right now. Most times that's not granted. Yeah, but you got to use it though. Right. You got to try.
Right. But if you're planning on using something like that, some tactics you might use is calling the defendant to testify as your witness. Mm-hmm. Now, this is state court. So the defendant cannot refuse to testify because there is no criminal liability, right? If you want to call, and when I say state court, I mean this is civil court. Right. So because it's a civil liability, there is no Fifth Amendment due process type of right. Yeah. And so defendant also doesn't have to testify on their behalf, right? So if the plaintiff rested their case, the defendant can say, we rest. Right? Yeah. They can say we rest. Kind of similar to kind of like the Diddy trial. Yeah. Even in civil court, you don't have to put on any evidence if you don't want to. You can leave all the evidence to the plaintiff and see if they meet their burden.
And that's a tactic in and of itself.
Right.
Because you're telling the jury, you're telling the court, they didn't do a good enough job. Right. I don't even have to say anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the plaintiff called Cardi B as a witness.
The plaintiff called the defendant as a witness.
As a defendant, as a witness. And so, so she was classified as a hostile witness now.
So he said, Your Honor, we call Cardi B as a hostile witness. And at first we did a bar question because we were like, well, why would you do that? That's dumb. We were thinking this was cross, but it was his direct. It was his witness. And because it was a defendant, he is going to treat her hostile as she is, if she is hostile. And what does that mean, babe?
So I'm about to mix it up, but on cross, you can lead the witness, right?
Correct.
On direct, you cannot lead the witness. So if I'm calling my witness, it's a direct examination. If my witness isn't giving me what I need to get out, or my witness is being difficult. This happened a lot in the Young Thug trial when the prosecutors had a bunch of witnesses who started flipping at the last minute because for whatever reason they wanted to flip on the government. The government had to say, Your Honor, I want to treat my witnesses hostile because they're not answering my questions. Because on direct, you're letting the witness tell the story. Right. So if your witness isn't telling the story, now you're switching and say, Your Honor, now I have to tell the story now. I have to leave the witness because they're not giving me what I need. Mm-hmm. So because Imani's attorney, the plaintiff, was calling Cardi B as their witness, he automatically knew he would have to treat her as hostile because Cardi B isn't going to give him anything. Right.
And treating her as a hostile witness is just asking the court permission to ask leading questions on direct.
I forgot what show it was. It's either a movie or a show, but that was stuck in my brain as a kid. I always thought permission to treat the witness as hostile be like I like jump on the witness and like put him in a chokehold. Exactly. It was some movie. I forgot what it was. Permission to treat the witness as hostile. And you jump over the desk. Like, answer me. Like, no, that's not what it means. You can't do that. That's not what it means. Yeah. So, and so even that is that's such a hard thing to navigate. And an attorney of that caliber wasn't capable of doing that.
But I just feel like you're asking the court to let you ask questions in a specific type of way so that you can tell the story. And I don't think he asked a single leading question. He
started off with asking her about her hair. And different color hair and wigs and nails.
No, his first question was something about where she was born and is she an only child?
Yeah. Yeah. He even asked her like if she took any drugs that day.
And that's a normal question you would ask.
I don't even know. I feel like that's preliminary. Like that's what you're asking.
No, you're making sure that there's nothing in your system that you could later say, well, I was high. So
but isn't that asking like when you're being sworn in?
No, you're asked if you want to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
It just felt extra. And then he goes to the hair, and then he goes to the nails, and then he asked her if she was in a gang. So this is his tactic. Like I explained earlier. If it's an assault case, I need you to look as violent as possible. And he needed to paint her as the angry black woman and went as so far as to use the gang stuff. Now, I'm not completely opposed to him asking her about the gang, but I think if I was a juror, I would have been like, come on, son.
Well, come on. I think her attorney objected to that, and I think there were things. I think part of his tactic, not his strategy, some of his tactics he thought were helpful because sometimes you will ask a question because the question will make the juries wonder, well, why don't they want to answer that?
Yeah, your answer doesn't matter. Right. My question matters more.
Right. But the judge is supposed to instruct the jury that there's certain things they just have to ignore. Right. Yeah. And so he's still, because you can't unring the bell. Yeah. So I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to take my chances and ask the question.
But that's the thing. That I feel like that hurts you more than it helps you because jurors also decide verdicts on whether or not they like your attorney. I've seen examples, I've heard examples set in different trials where the attorney spoke to the juror and said, I ain't like his shoes. There was a story of a trial in DC where the plaintiff was suing like a DC resident, and the attorney mispronounced Anacostia River. It's a river in DC, and the jury didn't like that he mispronounced Anacostia.
Well,
so it's like so. All that being said, what your attorney uses as a tactic, even if I'm just using the question to draw from the jury, that could hurt you more than it helps you. Because if I'm a juror sitting in that courtroom and I see Cardi B, or if I'm a person of color, black, Latino, whatever, and you asking her if she in a gang, and she was coming out of a OBGYN in a building after seeing her checkup, and she's pregnant at the time. You asking her about her gang is making you look crazy. You look racist.
But I feel like, I think that's the downside to litigation, because the hope is, you might not have liked the prosecution and things he said, but you should be looking at the evidence and making your decision.
But herein lies the problem of the criminal justice system, because we would love for jurors to decide cases solely off of evidence. But we know that's not true.
I would like to think that something like, well, if this were me, I wouldn't want people to find me liable or guilty because they don't like my lawyer.
It's going to matter to me if the plaintiff is asking this black woman if she's in a gang and there was no gang related incident. I'm going to think you racist. And you even pointed out. Right.
You even pointed out. Now, if he was a good attorney, if she were able to answer the question and she said no, you're going to say you're not? Well, let's look at your lyrics.
He didn't do that.
He couldn't do that because the objection was
I don't think he would have. If he would have brought in lyrics, he would have went down a bad rabbit hole because now you're going to have to spend another 20 minutes on lyrics.
I don't think he would have gotten it in because it wasn't going to be relevant. But I feel like what I'm saying is, if you're a good attorney, you can force the jury to not look at their personal, biases.
Yeah,
you can do that.
And that's where I felt like he was so bad.
He was,
because he was banking on the jurors being as prejudiced as he was, or at least as what his line of question was going down to be. He asked her about her nails. He asked her about her hair. He asked her if she was in a gang. He asked her all these little stereotypical things to paint her as an angry black woman. That's exactly what he was trying to do.
I don't think he was asking.
I promise you. And because there wasn't enough evidence, because babe, even when he asked Cardi B, hey, what did you say to her? What did you say to her? And then Cardi B was like, I said, get the F out my face because yada, 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 yada. And he goes, yes, say to her. Go on, say to her. And the judge is like, what are you doing?
No, I'll give you. I'll give you that.
He's like, yeah, come on, angry black woman, show your true colors. That's what he was trying to do.
I will give you that. He was not only trying to get a rise out of Cardi B,
for sure,
he was trying to get a rise out of the jury. I will give you that. But again, I think it works both ways. I think the jury should not use. I don't think the jury should feel the rise lawyers are trying to get out of them, and I don't think they should use their personal biases to determine justice.
Utopia. Whatever. You praying for utopia, bro.
But what I'm saying is, for those who do end up watching this episode, if you get on a jury, please look at the facts.
Yeah, no facts. No, for real.
Please look at the facts because that's how the justice system is supposed to work.
Yes. No, I agree. And attorneys like that are hoping you don't look solely on the facts.
Right.
Because if we could get into it, there was not enough evidence. That's why I feel like Cardi B is going to win. And so we spoke about, there was apparently a video that was recorded.
Cardi B had testified that there wasn't apparently a video, but Cardi B had testified that Imani Ellis had her phone out and that her phone was like somewhere right here and that she thought she was recording. But no video surfaced. The plaintiff side, Imani Ellis, did not provide video evidence or any credible witnesses that could say Cardi B was the aggressor.
Right.
So there was so everything so far, this is a he said, she said trial.
Yep.
At this point.
She said, she said.
It's whose side do you think is telling the truth? And if I had to weigh in on it, I think Cardi B's side is telling the truth. I'm not saying something ain't go down. I'm just saying as in terms of who the initial aggressor may have been, I think Cardi B is telling the truth.
And so there's two parts. There's an assault charge and there's also like emotional infliction.
Emotional infliction. There's an IIED charge, intentional infliction of an emotional distress. And then the assault, and there's like humiliation, and
right?
Something like that.
So if they can't get her on, like, because she's claiming that Cardi B physically put her hands on her, so if that don't work, Cardi B's words emotionally harmed me,
right?
Which is very hard to prove.
It is very hard.
And we learned that since law school. Like we spent a lot of time on IED. Shout out to Professor Frayden.
Yeah,
we spent a lot of time on IED, and he made sure to drill it in. Like, this ain't no easy thing. Right. Just because somebody call you fat don't mean you got an IED
because the
charge.
Damages has to and so not more so IED is hard to choose, but is hard to prove. It's that emotional distress is hard to prove, right?
Yeah.
It's that you actually have the damages that are expected when you're claiming IED.
Yeah.
That you maybe you had to take antidepressants and maybe you had to go to therapy for a long time. Migraines. You were losing weight, couldn't hold food, having headaches, all these different things.
Couldn't go to work, you lost money.
Right.
Couldn't go to work.
Yep. All these different things as a result of that person's intentional actions.
And that stuff takes time. And it's also important to know this incident took place in February of 2018 when Cardi B dropped her first album. And we all know Cardi took forever to drop her second album and she still didn't drop it. But like, that's how long ago it was, her first album. And just a shout out to all y'all out there who be like, they be hitting us up. Oh, I want to sue. Like, do I have a claim?
Stop coming to us with your nonsense, especially those who talking about, well, I want to sue them, and it ain't nobody with money. It ain't nobody with money. What you gonna get from them?
Listen, most of y'all have the same type of case. Ibadi got in this.
Ain't got no evidence. Nothing. Well, I was really sad about it.
Damages.
Okay,
you need damages, and the law isn't a get rich quick scheme.
No,
it's from 2018. This girl Imani lost her job.
This girl Imani had to find lawyers who were going to help her front this case, right? Like, This is a tort case, so this is personal injury.
Yeah,
this is. In most personal injury cases, the reason why there are so many is because lawyers will take your case if they feel like they could get paid, right?
Yep.
If they feel
they don't believe in you.
They don't believe in you. If they think the facts are such that they can get you and them, and more importantly, them paid, then they'll take on your case.
Yeah.
So Imani had to find a lawyer who had to look at all the facts, who had to convince her doctor, her plastic surgeon, to give her a lien of $17,500 dependent on the outcome of this case. So when I tell you they are hoping Cardi B will
break
settle
off something, because it will have to be worth it.
Right.
This is almost going to be 10 years.
Right.
Almost 20, we're in 2025, almost 10 years of this case drawn out. So you think you're going to bring a civil claim, I'm going to get me $10,000 in 6 months? No.
Right.
This is you're playing the long game. You got to get medical records, you got to get videotape, you got to do subpoenas, depositions. There's going to be continuances because the expert witness is on vacation in Hawaii for the next month. Like, there's going to be so many things that's going to prolong this case. If you're trying to bring a civil claim, make sure you're in it for the long run. Make sure you're in it for the long run. And Imani is playing the long game. And that's why I said, like, a little part of me don't blame her, because if LeBron roll up on me, if LeBron step on my foot, I'm suing. I'm playing the long game with LeBron. Like, and to your point is, people trying to sue people with no money.
Fact.
If Cardi B was in my face and she might have spit on me or might have done,
that would
I got bills, bro.
That would be one of my questions if I was defendant's attorney. Is, you're a security guard. You don't deal with, combative people in your day to day.
And that's a very important thing. Shout out to Kadeem. I did a short stint of security in Brooklyn. Kadeem is the security expert. It was a couple of summers. I needed somebody, $80 a night. Shout out to security guards out there who be doing clubs and parties. Y'all should be getting paid way more because it's a hard job.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with like a drunk person or somebody who's doing too much, who's trying to act big, there is no back and forth.
Right.
I'm gonna handle you.
Right.
I've seen Kadeem handle. Ain't no talking.
Right.
The moment I see you're about to, I feel like my life is in danger, or you putting somebody else in danger, I'm draping you up and I'm throwing you out.
Right.
That's how I know she lying, because she didn't do that to Cardi B.
Right.
She was going back and forth, and you pull out a camera and you calling each other B words. Somebody had to step in between. No, if I'm security and I think Cardi B is coming off the elevator belligerent, and I'm draping Cardi B up and throwing her out. Right. We're going to deal with the pregnancy later, because my defense is I'm doing my job.
Especially because her security guard wasn't with her in there.
Exactly. It's there's so many things that adds up for Cardi in favor of Cardi B.
Yeah.
She had no security with her. She was coming from her OBGYN. She was 12 weeks pregnant. You're already dealing with a tough case. Yeah. It's going to be hard to make that pregnant woman look bad.
Yeah.
And Cardi B said it. She was, and because the defense asked her something about like, and why wouldn't you swing, or why didn't you? And she was like, because I was pregnant. That's all.
I was pregnant.
And so the simplest answer is probably the right answer.
Yeah.
There is no other. I was pregnant, and any juror in the world is going to be like, okay, you're right.
Cardi B got to say a lot of things that I don't think as the attorney, as the plaintiff's attorney, you would want your defendant to be able to say. She said something like, I mean, the attorney had asked, well, did Miss Ellis know you were pregnant? And Cardi B was like, no, but she knew I was a patient.
That was so good.
I was like, yo.
Disability. He kept harping on the disability.
Yes.
That's why he's
you
so
want me to tell you
trash.
Things I can't do?
He's so trash. He goes, so you're telling me you were disabled when you were pregnant? Why would you ask that?
Bro.
Why would you look crazy.
Bro.
and mad inconsiderate. Nobody's going to consider a pregnant woman disabled, but we could all understand that, yes, you cannot do certain things.
Yeah.
And you're right. Cardi B handled that perfectly.
She was prepped so
good.
well.
So good.
She was prepped so well. So she was even prepped to hear the answers to the objections. Like when she waited for the sustained and the overruled, she knew sustained means don't say anything. She knew overruled means you can answer.
Because what do a lot of defendants do, even though they said sustained?
They'll keep talking. You don't gotta answer the question.
And you're right. That's from bad preparation. Because when you in the meetings, you're like, listen, take a beat when you hear the question, because I want to jump in with just in case. So that you don't say something that's on the record.
I tell my clients, you have 5 answers on cross. Yes, no, I don't know. Repeat the question. I plead the 5th. Mm-hmm. If you ain't saying those 5 things, you talking too much.
You're doing a lot.
You're doing way more than needed. Right. And I tell all of them, if it's an open-ended question, tell me your story. And that's what Cardi B did.
Yeah.
Because he had nothing but open-ended questions.
Bad. Even though he was supposed to be crossing her in a way.
He didn't have a single leading question because he did not. So one thing that I'm questioning is, why was there no depositions taken? I had heard the judge, because the attorney started asking Cardi, do you know what discovery is?
Vocabulary word of the day, number 2. Discovery. What is discovery for that?
Deposition. Discovery is.
No, deposition. Define this deposition.
So deposition is a discovery tool where you tell the other party, hey, I want to meet so that I can ask you a bunch of questions. It's usually no more than 7 to 8 hours of deposition you can do, and you can depose the parties, and other witnesses that might be other witnesses, you can have them deposed.
Just to get a sense of the case, get some more information.
You can ask any type of question, open-ended, leading. You can ask any type of question you want to ask. Freedom. There, you can go. There is no there's relevancy. Like, discovery does have to be somewhat relevant to the case, but you're not thinking of, can I get this information in court all the time? You're thinking, maybe this could be helpful impeachment evidence. Yeah. Maybe I can use this evidence to show this person is lying, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had heard something in the case that the judge had said that he chose not to do depositions, which is crazy. The plaintiff's attorney chose to do depositions,
and Cardi B's attorney chose to do depositions, and like you said, it worked in his favor because he was able to impeach the plaintiff based on her depositions. Right. She said in her depositions that there was no blood, or there wasn't a certain amount of lacerations, right? And now she's in court saying that she got 17 lacerations, yada 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 yada. Right. And then he was able to cross her and say, so Cardi B struck you on this day, right? But you didn't go to the hospital. In your deposition, you said you didn't go to the hospital. Right. Yes. And in fact, you said you went home and took a nap because you was tired. Yes. Boom, you're done.
You're done. Because he could cross her. He could do. And so this happened on this day, and this happened, and you didn't go to the hospital. Right. And you didn't go to the hospital. She has no choice to say yes, because if she says no, I have her deposition testimony that I can say. Well, don't you remember meeting with me on August 17th, 2021? And there I had asked you, did you do this? And you were under oath. And you said, right, I get to now confront you.
Yep. So, and that's why this guy was way out of his depth, man. And I know, we spoke about this, I know when it's a bad case, you have to do all you can. And I've seen defense counsels and plaintiffs' counsel with bad cases, but still did a good job. Right. He had a bad case and he didn't do a good job.
And it seemed like he just forgot the fundamentals. Like, he was trying to impeach Cardi with her discovery answers. So there are, while you are not required to have depositions, it's a tool, you're also not required to provide, unless you're in a state that has mandatory disclosures where there's like a statute that explains things you have to disclose in certain type of cases. you can use things like requests for admissions, interrogatories, requests for production of documents to gather evidence as a tool. You serve them on the other party. They're well defined. And then the other party has like 30 or 40 days to have to respond to what you're asking for.
And this whole process this is why it's called discovery. You are discovering information. The deposition is part of discovery. Interrogatories, production of documents, that's all discovery. You're discovering information to prep for trial.
Exactly. And so plaintiff's attorney is like, do you know what discovery is? And Cardi B says yes. What are interrogatories? Objection, of course. That's a legal term. And he has her trying to figure out if she remembers these documents, and she's like, she does. And the judge puts it to an end because it's like, what are you doing? You didn't ask her a question.
You never want to be in a position where the judge is like, yo, what's good with you, bro?
Whatever like, now's not the time for discovery.
Yo, whatever the judge, obviously, like the professional sense, whatever the judge is like, yo, what where you going with this? Like, you sound crazy, man. That's a bad place.
So bad.
You're doing bad. That's a bad sign.
And I think he ended on an objection.
Of course. And again, it's like mock trial 101. You never end on an objection.
And the funny thing is, like, it was like objection. It was like he was asking all these speculative questions, and it was like objection, and then he's like, and your nails, what color are they? It's like, what?
The reason why I brought up mock trial because I did what he did in a couple of competitions. In mock trial, obviously you're dealing with a fake case, and you're dealing with like fake witnesses. So the witnesses for the opposing school that you're facing is they mans. So they friends.
Right.
And they be going up there and lying.
Right.
And you can obviously you don't have anything if it's not anything that's in the packet of like the basic what they call it the legal world they've built. There's no way to impeach them,
right? Because
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
So they can easily go up there and lie, and you can't say anything, even though they're straight up lying.
Right.
So you do get in moments in mock trial, and I can say for myself where you get frustrated on cross, and you're like, so you doing and you doing that, you doing that. And so you're telling me right now this is what you said, and then there was definitely moments where I got upset, and it was clear that I'm getting upset. You lose points for that because now you can't keep your composure. You're just arguing back and forth, and nothing's getting done.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to paint this witness as argumentative and feisty and hostile, and y'all both look like that. And that's exactly what the plaintiff's counsel did. He got into a back and forth with Cardi B, and there was many objections too where the counsel was testifying. He was saying his own statements. There was a point where he was going back and forth with Cardi about whether or not the security guard was recording with a camera or why she had the camera. And Cardi B was like, well, because she had a camera on her face. And then the defense counsel goes, well, don't you think she had a camera because she wanted to record? Like, what are you doing? You're testifying. What are you doing? Why are you getting into a shouting match with the witness?
Right.
This is mock trial 101. That's why it just seemed like he was way out of his league. And it's because like, you should know this.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Why are you getting that flustered? Why are you getting that emotionally involved?
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to be throwing Cardi B off, and she's throwing you off. She cooked him.
She did.
She cooked him. She did an amazing job.
Yeah.
She did an amazing job.
No, she did.
So now, do you want to talk about celebrity bias?
Celebrity privilege, you mean?
Yeah, celebrity privilege.
I mean, yeah, I think it's obvious that like the judge. I felt the judge was fair. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. I felt the judge was fair, but I don't know. I just got like a little bit of like, because Cardi B is Cardi B, she's being her authentic self up there. She's not holding anything back. There is a bit of privilege she gets in that courtroom. Like, I think, and you brought up, you said when you're able to make the jury laugh, that's all you need. But I do feel like any blow Joe Mo who's facing assault and like maybe doesn't have the notoriety but potentially has the money, they were going to be found liable.
I don't think so. I think you could be likable. I think Cardi B had both going for her. I think she had her celebrity going for her. She's an entertainer. Cardi B knows how to make people laugh. She knows how to make people feel comfortable and how she could be lovable and cute, whatever. And she looked good up there.
But I feel like that's only if you like that those mannerisms and that character, because you know how I feel about Cardi B. Like, she's not my favorite person.
Nah, shout out to Cardi, New York all day, bro. I love Cardi B, man.
You can't help but I appreciate the hustle. I can admit I appreciate the hustle. I appreciate the hard work, but I would never hang out. Like, she's not very well spoken. She's just very wild card.
Self-hate.
It's not self-hate. It's not self-hate. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not my, every other day is bitch that, bitch this. It's like,
you ain't like invasion of privacy?
I'm not talking about her music. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the vulgarity, the demeanor.
And you know what? That's what Plaintiff's counsel was depending on.
Right.
He was depending on that jury not liking Cardi B, but
right.
the complete opposite happened. Right. They loved her. It was low-key like a Cat Williams, Shannon Sharp interview. Like, she had them eating at the palm.
No, she did,
hand.
but
and it's twofold. So she has the celebrity going for her, and she also has the facts going for her.
Yeah.
She has the sympathy of being a pregnant woman at the time, of the security guard being bigger than her. What you call it? Security heavy. I had a case where the victim in the case testified, and she kind of acted like Cardi B. So she was a victim in the case because the defendant in the case ran over her car. He was drunk out of his mind, ran over her car. She chased him. He turned down a one-way block, ran to another car. He got out, called her the N-word, all these different type of things. When you have a story like that as a victim, it's easy for you for people to empathize with you. So she got on that stand and she acted like Cardi B. She was like, "Oh no, he was crazy. Or he was definitely drunk. Oh my no." And the jury was laughing because the jury puts themselves in her seat and go, "Yeah, if somebody runs over my car, because this dude had a truck." So when the jury puts themselves in the victim's shoes, and it's easy to do that. If you're funny, if you're likable, they're gonna eat that all up because they're saying, "No, I understand that." Or you were pregnant and she had a phone in your face. Oh, I definitely understand why you were cursing. I definitely understand why you was calling her B. I definitely understand why you was going off because I would have done the same thing. So I think she had that. She had the celebrity and that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to do the same thing because nobody would be filming you because of who you are.
And that's, again, this is all bad. This is all bad for the plaintiff. I don't know why she even came. I get it, but this is a bad case.
They're hoping that Cardi B will settle. I mean, because even $300,000 would be pretty nice.
Would you settle?
I mean, if it made sense, I think the amount of money, I think there's pride in litigation, right? Like,
yes,
if I have the amount of money that somebody is going after and I'm willing to take the risk, or either I feel super confident that there is no risk, no, I don't need to settle. Because Cardi B has she cannot tarnish her reputation here. Like, she is this, gangsta Dominican or whatever she is.
Afro-Caribbean.
Afro-Caribbean.
She identifies as
Afro-Caribbean. Afro-Caribbean, rapper who is very, in my opinion, vulgar. And so, if anything...
Shout out to Cardi B. I love Cardi B.
I know you do. If anything, this helps her.
Or helps her brand, her persona. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think there's any point for her to settle because then it just looks like you got something to hide, and that's not always the case. But
and stuff like this, I would fight it because it's pride on the other side. Like, I don't want to give you $1. I don't want to give you a dime.
Right.
You are infringing on my privacy. You're trying to come into my pockets. You're taking food out my children's mouth. You're wasting my time. And I'm just going to give you money off of a frivolous claim because that's what it is. This is frivolous. Come on. We know what it is.
And I think they're going to really focus on the emotional side. And even if they're like, okay, even if she didn't, scratch her with her fingernail or spit on her, Cardi B did admit she said those things.
If this is enough to meet the emotional claim, then every woman on Real Housewives of Atlanta, everybody on Love Island, every person you got into an argument with in the parking lot that took your parking spot and you cussed them out, they all deserve civil claims.
No, because I think in those situations,
that's my point.
I think in those situations there's contracts. I think in those situations there's contracts involved. You have your production team kind of instigating violence and stuff like that.
So what about the person who takes your parking spot and you cuss them out? That person deserves to sue you?
No,
because you call them an ugly, big, fat, whatever.
But we can't forget you take people as they are. And again, I don't know what evidence she showed about the emotional side of things, but if she's credible on that end, that like having this experience with Cardi B and all the backlash did actually cause emotional distress,
It's
she might.
And it's, you know how difficult it is for you to prove that this pregnant woman coming from a doctor's appointment hurt your feelings? But the security guards feelings?
I don't think, as funny as it was to see it on Instagram, I don't think Cardi B insinuating that the girl was fat was helpful.
She said security heavy.
That's embarrassing.
Security guards are supposed to be fat. Babe, no, they're supposed to be big. What you mean?
No.
Every female security guard that I worked with was big. So they had to be. They literally had to be
somebody's
big.
calling you. Somebody say, "Well, he look like he could secure the building."
Yeah,
you're fine with that.
I should have Kadeem on. Kadeem, no, like that happens all the time. Big man, like your body has to fit the job. I haven't seen no skinny security guards. And if you skinny, and not for nothing,
you've never seen like in shape security guards. In shape,
that's different than like skinny, scrawny. If you're especially,
but she wasn't saying she was clearly insinuating that the girl was fat.
No, she was.
Said, "Look at her."
No, she was pointing out the fact that Cardi B was pointing out the fact that she was in fear for her life, and he said, "Why would you think that?" She was like, "Well, because she's bigger than me." He instigated it. Then he goes, "How do you know that?"
No.
And then she goes, "Oh, well, can't you see whatever?" And he's like, "No, I can't see." No. And then she goes,
"You're not even doing her character right." She said, "Look at her." You. And then she like,
"Yes,
no, bitch,
yes,
no."
And
you know,
that's why Cardi B. This is why Cardi B killed. And then she goes, "Don't you have her medical records? You could see, you could tell us." And that's why he didn't say it because Cardi B is 5'3". That came out in evidence. Notice he ain't trying to get the security guard's height or weight out because that hurts his case. Because she is clearly bigger than her. So if I'm trying to say that I'm in fear for my life, we do this all the time in trial. In order for you to prove, or even like a excessive force claim on a police officer, the police officer would want to get out. Oh, he was bigger than me. I had to react in this way. This is why I use.
No, I get it. I'm not
Cardi
saying
B was doing the same thing.
I'm not saying she shouldn't have made it clear that she was afraid of her. I'm saying
she has to harp on the
she size. Did her mannerisms in court were not the most professional, but
she was a big woman,
babe.
She was a big woman.
I'm not saying
supposed to be.
I think we can acknowledge, as much as you love Cardi B, I think you can acknowledge she's not perfect. Her shit does stink. And
don't make it seem like I'm capable for Cardi.
You capable for Cardi. You capable for Cardi. You capable for her.
Because it's a bad case, man. Free Cardi, man. Free Cardi.
She's not in jail.
Free Cardi till it's backwards, man.
You're crazy.
They got my homegirl up in there.
You just stand on business for New York.
In two different wigs and all this dress up just because this girl want to get some money, some quick money.
We all do it.
I would do it too. That's what I'm saying. Like, if somebody of that caliber who I know has money, we got into an altercation. Listen, man. Like I said, we got bills, bro. But that was a masterclass in what not to do. Like if I'm teaching, if I'm teaching a mock trial class, I'm using those clips to say, don't do this.
Yeah, and I do think that like that attorney was trying to put on a show for his client.
Great point. Yeah.
Like I think that as bad as he was tactfully in court, like he just didn't have strategy. It was clear that he was willing to embarrass himself for his client. Because even if they don't walk away with anything and he has to take the L, then maybe people will think, oh, well, at least he advocated zealously.
So you feel like he wasn't trying to win the case. He was trying to win his client.
Maybe.
He was trying to earn his money.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But he's not making any money.
True.
If they don't, and that's why I do think there's some confidence on his end that even the way the evidence is, there's some money they could get. I honestly would be surprised if they're not going to get any money.
Yeah, because when you have a bad case like that, you just throw whatever at the wall and see if it sticks, and you just hope something falls down. But it's hard when it's just such a lack of evidence. Yeah. It's very hard to see how much you can actually get. But again, like with the jury, you just never know. But yeah, a lot of clients do put on a show. Have you done that before? Have you like put on a show for your client?
Yeah.
Even though you know it's a loser?
Oh yeah, because the client doesn't really know. I mean, sometimes lay people can tell if something's going good or bad in court because maybe they can read the judge's, demeanor. But yeah, I have told clients I will look stupid in court for you. Especially if you want to go forward on something, I just need you to know I think we're gonna lose.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go if you are. We could take our chances. I'm gonna give it my all, but I need you to know if we lose, I'm gonna say, I told you so.
Oh yeah. I definitely had opposing counsels come to me after the trial. I was like, listen, I told my client not to do it.
Bro.
I told my client.
Bro.
I had a case where we was going back and forth the email, and I was wondering why he was so pestering. I was like, bro, you're gonna lose this case. Like, here's the case law, here's the facts. It's looking bad. He just kept pressing it. Eventually, he excused himself as counsel for that case, and somebody else came in. And he came to me after. He was like, "No, I sorry for going back and forth, but I had to show my client, like, yo, this is a loser. Like, this is a bad case." But she wouldn't believe me. She wouldn't believe me. So sometimes counsels do have to put on that, not a show, but if you're not gonna believe what I say, bet. It's like if you don't believe me if the stove is hot, go ahead and touch it. Here's the evidence that the stove is hot, so that we could all go home and not waste any more time. But some clients are so stubborn. They're like, the stove hot, but I don't care. Bro. We going to hell. Bro. We going all the way. Bro. And I think this is what this is. I think I'm pretty sure a lot of people turned down her case. So I don't want to take it. This one guy said, hey, it's Cardi B. We might win. I'm going to try. And that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah. But we'll see how it goes. This is fun. This was fun. So we'll see how the rest of the trial goes. And we might do like a recap after the verdict drops and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So, yeah. Anything else? I think that's it. All right. It's been Conversate. Peace. Right. Peace out.